This is a project that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. It's a rocket stove. There's a lot of information on YouTube about rocket stoves, and the design that we're using is from MBPartnership. I'm going to put a link in the description for you. Really take a look at theirs, it's excellent. But rocket stoves, if you're not familiar with it, they're really efficient cooking method. It's used a lot in developing countries, and it uses very little wood, and it transfers the heat quickly into the cooking utensil, the frying pan or the Dutch oven that you're going to be using. And one of the reasons that I wanted to make one as opposed to purchasing them, they're around $120 a piece, and I wanted 3 of them because I wanted to do more than one thing at a time. And you know, you're talking around $500. So I was looking into this, and I had some buckets, and I had a sewer pipe hanging around, and the only thing that I had to buy was, we're going to be using perlite, or you could use vermiculite, and mixing it with the concrete at an 80-20% ratio. So it's going to be 80% either perlite or vermiculite, which is, it's going to act as an insulator, in 20% of concrete. We're going to be literally making like a insulated concrete or a fire brick. And it's going to center all of our heat into the chimney, and that's literally what we're cooking in, is the chimney. And that's why we get that rocket stove. And you'll see more about that if you're not familiar with it in a moment. The pipe that we're using is 4 inches. 4 inches across the diameter. And this is the only critical area, really, is they want the diameter of the pipe to be 1/3 the length of the chimney. So in our case, we're using a 4-inch pipe. That would mean our chimney is going to be 12 inches long. The other pipe that, the smallest pipe that I would go down to is probably a 3-inch pipe, and that would be 3 times 3, or 9 inches in length of the chimney. You don't want it too long. The first problem that we kind of encounter here is the curvature of the bucket. So what I did was I took a piece of cardboard, laid my pipe down on it, traced around it, and cut out the circle. Again, using a 4-inch pipe, we're going to come down 12 inches. And that's, again, the length of our chimney. Okay. Put our circle on the bucket. And now it's easy for me to trace around it. Okay. Now if we had, again, a 3-inch pipe instead of a 4-inch pipe, we'd mark it at the 9-inch mark and put our circle right to the bottom of the 9, just like that. These are our 2 forms. What I did was I cut them at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so they'll fit like this. Put a little bit of concrete in here. Stick the bottom form in, like so. Okay. Carefully center it into the center of the bucket and pack more concrete around it. They weren't real specific about the concrete. When you go to look at concrete, there's thousands of different varieties. And I had heard somewhere that a lot of these have a problem with cracking, so I got crack-resistant concrete. fiber reinforced concrete mix. I don't know. So we're going to be mixing 20% of this with 80% vermiculite. And I'll see you on the flip side. So the way I calculated 80% perlite to 20% concrete was 4 full coffee cans or 4 full whatever you're using of perlite. This is perlite. To 1 coffee can of concrete mix. Okay, after it's all mixed together, they want not a real wet, they want a pretty dry mix. Okay, we're ready to put it in the bucket. So that our form will be easily released, I just put a little motor oil on it, and now I'm ready to stick it in the center of the bucket. And I'm just going to stick it in here like this. Very carefully. And I'm looking for the point of it to be right in the center of the bucket. All right. Can you see that? Okay. Now I need to fill the rest of it up with concrete and tamp it as I go along. I got to put more motor oil on the other form so it'll be released easily. Making sure that it's kind of in the center. That's what I'm looking for. You can fill the rest with concrete. Passed since we put the concrete into the bucket. Let's see if we can remove these. Okay. Now we're going to set the stove into a plastic garbage bag for 1 week to slowly cure, and then we'll take it out of the bag and let it cure for another 3 weeks before we use it.